I am Denise Griffitts, and this is your partner in Success Radio. I am delighted to welcome back to the show Margo McHugh. Now, Margo is a talented producer, and she is the co-owner of Floating Lava Studios. That's an independent production company based in Los Angeles. And with a deep love for storytelling and a strong background in production, Margo helps bring fresh, meaningful films to life, and we'll talk about one of those in a minute. Today, we are sponsored by Dr. Anna Marie. She is the mindset doctor. Have you been thinking of hiring a high-level coach? If you're struggling in multiple areas of life and need more than just a business coach or a health coach or a relationship, Dr. Anna Marie coaches the whole person. With her background in natural medicine, communication, and business, she's walked the walk and now works exclusively one-on-one with those ready to step into their extraordinary life. Take her free quantum alignment assessment today at happywholeyou.com to see if you're a good fit for her program. And you can connect with her on Instagram as well at Dr. Anna Marie. There's Dr. period Anna period Marie. Now back to my guest. And I have to tell you, I've been waiting for this conversation for a while. I'm especially excited to have Margo back because so much has happened since she joined me last year. Her partner, Matthew Montgomery, is currently part of NASA's CHAPEA mission. If you haven't heard about it, it's a year-long Mars simulation, and that experience has added a remarkable real-life layer to both her personal journey and her creative work. And with the recent moon launch renewing public excitement about space exploration, this feels like the perfect time to catch up with Margo, hear how she's been navigating the challenge of a year-long separation. And I think she just told me they're just about at the halfway point right now, and explore the human side of these missions, not just the technology, but the families, the partners, and the creative professionals who live alongside them. Margo, welcome back. I have been waiting for this conversation since last year.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I've got so many questions 'cause I really want to know. Well, I'm gonna just start it out because we were talking about it at the green room. I didn't know there was going to be a moon launch until about a day or 2 before it happened.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit miffed about that, I have to tell you.
Yeah, I totally get that. I know that going through this process and having Matt doing this simulation, this mission, I've been talking to people about space, and it became clear to me how much, normal people just don't know what NASA's up to, don't know what the short and long term plans are for that agency. And and it is kind of disappointing because I think we're at a point where we're doing a lot of cool stuff. Like going back to the moon. Not only are we, doing that trip, we will land on the moon. They have a built um space station ready to just orbit the moon. So we've got like our space station that orbits Earth, where we have one built, and we will be launching that to orbit around the moon so that it makes it even easier to go back to the moon. So there's a lot of cool stuff that NASA is doing, but it is not being communicated to, I would say, the general public, which was just a random fact that I started realize going through this CHAPEA situation with Matt. But yeah, I mean, I think a big piece of that, I've seen at least with the CHAPEA side, is the scientists want to keep all of their data and want to keep everything very safe and protected, and they don't want to try maybe skew data or risk something by putting too much out there. But then, that's in direct conflict with the PR side of what NASA does, which is getting the masses kind of on board and excited about what they're doing, because that's the only way you get funded, because it is a government agency. So they need support from all the people in the country to do that. So they're kind of in conflict, and it feels like maybe the science is winning a bit too much. Because I agree. I'm really excited and wrapped up in the space stuff. So I knew about it and I knew it was coming down the pipe, but that's just not everyone's lived experience. And so I think doing a better job, because we are doing so much cool stuff right now.
I agree with you, and honestly, and I was telling you this in the green room because 'cause I'm still miffed about it.
Yeah.
I really am. I saw something on LinkedIn about, this, moon launch. I went, "What moon launch? What are you talking about?" I like to think I'm fairly educated about what's going on in the world. I do not watch legacy media. I just don't.
Mhm.
That's propaganda.
Mm.
But even on not well, Twitter, X, there was nothing much there, and I went, "What the heck? We
Yeah.
need to know about this. This is exciting." I mean, I actually went and found my remote control because I do not watch TV, rarely, and I had to, go on Newsmax, which is about the only station I can stomach, and they were, talking about it, and I went, "But why now? Why didn't I know this before?" I'm still just puzzled and frankly pissed off. So,
Yeah,
let's just get that out of the way.
yeah, I mean, I think that's valid, especially because we sent humans the furthest they've ever been from Earth.
Right, right.
And so, a lot of cool stuff. If you would like, which I don't think this is necessarily what should happen, is if you do follow NASA on social media, they do a decent job posting. But they had some fun things with the crew, the Artemis crew that just went up. They did like a full house intro where they like
Yeah, I
put the
saw that
drawing.
finally. But
Yeah, so
yeah.
they're doing cute stuff, but it's not breaking through to the mainstream for some
It's
reason.
not.
So, like, you can go and if you follow NASA and you get on their email chain, like, you will hear about this stuff, but you're right, like, it is just not breaking through the news cycles, and I think it's something very exciting that, the US specifically is doing even right now, and yeah, so I think you have to take your space interest into your own hands, unfortunately, right now. It's a bummer, but that's just where it's at. If you wanna hear about space, you've gotta go look for that info.
I agree with you. I mean, I was flummoxed, I still am. So it's like, this is important. Yeah, we have a lot of crud going on in the United States right now, a lot of corruption. You're covering it ad nauseum. Let's talk about something
Yeah,
neat. Let's talk
something
about the
exciting.
moon and
Yeah,
CHAPEA. So, and we've got the anniversary of the first moon launch coming up in
mhm,
July. I
yep,
wonder if they're going to bother to cover that. I'm not happy. So let's
yeah.
just,
No, I agree. Yeah, it is interesting because I do know that some of the few news I did see were about the issues that the Artemis crew was having, like, with their toilet that was broken on
yeah,
their ship at first, and then how
yeah,
they were freezing and they they wish they had thicker sleeping bags, which something I wasn't expecting is, with Matt going through his mission, I knew that these people were people, these astronauts, and but, like, it really brought it home, and I was like, "Oh, when that toilet's not working," like, I don't know, something about it and having Matt deal with, just similar there's always issues like that and
well, of
just things that pop
course.
up, and it really, like, humanized it for me, and it made me realize, "Oh, wow," like, these are real people, and these are real problems that they're having to move through and work through, and then, on the flip side, real celebrations. Like, it really, like,
Yeah,
brought it
yeah.
home to me about what everyone's doing, which is something I wasn't expecting, by Matt being involved in this mission.
Nice. I have to tell you on X, there finally, when they all caught up, there was a couple of memes that just I'm still chuckling over them. One was Marco Rubio, he's got 150 jobs, it seems like. And, his newest job was going to be toilet fixer on the launch. And
Yeah.
he had all the little tools. It was very cute. And then there was one that this is when I really started paying attention and went, okay, this is real. It's happening. Basically, somebody said, has Elon been, notified that he's going to be the backup crew? He may have to go get them. And I went, "Okay." People are paying attention, but it's not enough. It's just
Yeah.
not enough in my view.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
anyway, let's go back to CHAPEA.
Mhm.
So, I'm through complaining about I love NASA. I'm fascinated with it, but I think
Yeah.
their PR is poor. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's talk very quickly. Tell people what the CHAPEA mission is. I know what it is. And I have, made a note for people to go back and listen to what we talked about last year. And he was on the show too. But what is the CHAPEA mission?
So it is a simulation. It is a 378 day, so a little over a year simulation that is specifically looking at the crew's ability, both health and mentally, to stay fit if they were living on Mars for that time. So, the things that are really important to this study are the calories in and calories out. So the food and, are they getting enough food for the exercise? How much exercise can they do? And, does the structure itself, because they are living in a 3D printed, made of Marscrete, which is what they kind of hypothesize will be what we would build something on Mars out of. It's like half the Martian land, kind of mixed in with it. So made out of Marscrete, will that work? And the psychological side is a big piece of it too. They're talking to psychologists regularly. They're writing journal entries about how they're feeling. Because they're putting them through the paces, because that's what would happen on Mars. Obviously, if you go there and you're going to stay there, you're not going to take a vacation. You're going to
No, you're not gonna
get a lot done.
rebook.
Yeah, exactly. So you're gonna be busy. So even though the science they're doing in there isn't necessarily real, like some of the things Matt does is he's looking at rocks. Those are just rocks. But, and then, he's growing plants, which is very fun, and that is real, and they're getting to eat that. But it really is just a bit of playing pretend, but getting so much really important health data. And, the first time we send people to Mars, because the moon is one thing, the moon's always there. You can look up and the moon's in the sky. It's never away from us. But Mars, like, it's really far away. It can be on the other side of the sun from us. So we don't want the first time that we have people trying to live like this be the real deal. So that's essentially what the point of CHAPEA is it came out of a conversation about, okay, if we're sending people to Mars, how much food do we need? How much needs to be sent ahead of time? How much, what can the schedule look like for these people? What do we need to worry about in terms of interpersonal and people back home, and just being that secluded from everybody, because people on
A
the space
year.
station,
This is what people don't understand. This is a year.
yeah.
I mean, you
Yep.
haven't seen him in a year. I think you can talk with him every now and then, but they cannot just say, "I don't wanna do this anymore. I'm coming out."
Yeah, yes, exactly, 'cause there is, like, and you have to that travel has to be coordinated for when, the Mars and Earth are close to each other, because then you're just gonna
Right.
spend that time in space, which isn't any better. I think I'd rather be on a planet, even if it's not home. Um, so, yeah, I mean, it's really important that we find this out. They when they did their onboarding, essentially, like, when they got their badges and everything, the new astronaut class was also getting their badges that same day, and they
See,
were
we should have known this. I'm still ticked off. We should
Mm.
have known this. This should have been shared.
Yeah, there was a whole new astronaut class for this,
Right.
missions that are coming up, and so they're doing training right now. We've got astronauts in training currently, and they were really interested to talk to the CHAPEA crew, and really, like, interrogate what they're doing, what it's gonna be like, because a lot of those people are like, "It could be me, like, going to
Mhm.
Mars." So I wanna know what kinda data we're getting. How serious are these people, so that they are gonna get data that could potentially save somebody's life,
Oh,
and it
that's
might be
good
one
to
of their
know.
own. Yeah, so it's all it's a commitment. Obviously, like you said, we're in 2 days, we are hitting the halfway point. So we're all it's almost downhill from here. I just have to do what I did again. Um, but it's really important, and the way Matt always says it is, and he might have said this to you, um, is he just wants to put his grain of sand on top of the pile of, data and science and all of that. So if he can put his little grain on top, because that's how you get, all of the info that we do have. So he's happy to be doing that, and, it's tough, and we've been apart for a while at this point, but, we can see the greater good of it.
Yeah, he came on the show the weekend before he
Mhm.
entered
Yeah,
the
he was in training
simulation.
when he talked to you,
He
yeah.
was, he was. And I remember saying, "Can you come on a Saturday?" Because that was going to be the only opportunity we had to speak, and I was so excited. He said, "Yeah, oh, good." I was so excited to chat with him, and I've been following along as much as I can on CHAPEA.
Mhm.
But my question to you, Margot, is how has the past 6 months of this mission felt for you personally? Are there any expected, unexpected highs or lows in dealing with a year-long separation?
Yeah, I will say I'm happy that the tax season is over.
Okay,
That
why? Tell me why.
well, of course, on Mars, you wouldn't be able to do your own taxes. Our
Right.
communication is we can email, it is delayed based on how far Earth and Mars are from each other. Um, so, I can get some questions answered, but he does not have access to the internet. He doesn't have his personal computer, nothing like that. So, preparation was key because I was doing, of course, my taxes. I was also doing his taxes because somebody has to do them. The IRS does not care that he is living in a Mars simulation. Um, and we also have 2 businesses that we co-own together. So, there's 4 sets of taxes, different state and federal returns. So there is just a lot that I didn't wanna miss. It's not just doing it, it's he's all we check each other. It's a big part of, our partnership, and so not having him physically there, we can do some things over internet, but like, over email, but it was tough. That one was stressful just because we have an accountant, obviously, but it was just very stressful because I did not wanna miss something, and normally we have our roles, and I was just taking them all on, and for the first time, without many bars, but, I I'm happy that's through, and then beyond that, I was really focusing on family stuff. My sister moved across the world, and I got to spend the holidays with her kids, getting them all packed up, and then I was also able to spend some time with them getting settled in New Zealand, which is where they moved. Um, so I
And the
tried to
last time
really
we spoke, I thought they were in Texas or Florida.
They were in Florida, yes. So I
Okay.
was there visiting them. I actually just got home for the first time in 6 months about, just a couple days ago, and so I was really trying to focus on, the family that was here. Of course, emailing Matt, but there's only so many emails, and like I said, his schedule's honestly busier than I thought it was going to be. Like, I knew he'd be busy, but those hours, those minutes, like, they are all blocked out, for him, and then, he has some, like, white space is what they call it, but there's not that much. Um, and then he just goes to sleep and then gets back up the next day. So, there's not unlimited communication, which I knew, but it's way more limited than I thought. So, I just trying to stay busy. We also had our movie premiere while he was in there of The Spirit of Christmas Station. One of those
I know.
businesses that we co-own is a production company. Um, and that was actually a great way for us to connect, of course, because we made the movies and this was our business, but we also realized that the other crew members in there, they used it kind of as a holiday opportunity to watch with their friends and family at home on when we had the premiere, on Red Planet Day, which is the day after Thanksgiving. It's Black Friday. So we had a big premiere, and I was really happy, that they felt like that was a good way to connect, almost like they were watching a Christmas movie together, and it's something they could talk about via delayed email, of course, afterwards, and kinda just brought people together a little bit right around the holidays. So I was really, happy to hear that people had, positively experienced that in the crew specifically.
I remember him telling me that they could take just a handful of things to kind of
Mhm,
entertain them, like music or,
mhm.
you know, just and I think I made a few suggestions. He just laughed at me. I don't think he took them, but I thought they were fun. But I watched it. You sent me a link to it, and I watched it on Red Planet Day. And
Mhm,
then I was telling you in the green room a little bit ago, I rarely watch TV. It's just not my thing. You hand me anything to read, I'll read it. You hand
mhm.
me a remote and I have to study it. It's like, how do you turn this thing on? It's just not something that interests me very much.
Mhm.
But I think I was just having one of those days where I just needed to kind of go brain dead, and that's what TV does to me.
Yeah.
I needed a break, and all of a sudden, your movie popped up, and I'm pretty sure it was on Prime. I'll go look for it, and I went, "Oh, I know that movie." And I
Yeah.
clicked on it, and I watched it again, so it's out there, so congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised we don't have a lot of the numbers in yet because that's just that thing that's very slow moving getting those, numbers, but from some of the numbers we could see, like, it's up on a couple channels on YouTube, and it got some views. like, over 400,000 just on one platform that I was able to look
That's
at.
good.
So, yeah.
That's very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so it's, pretty exciting. We're still trying to, like I said, get all that information of how it went, but, I was definitely pleasantly surprised with what I've heard and some of the reviews that I've read, so I'm excited to hear that it's getting out there. People who don't know us are watching it, and, yeah, it's a really exciting thing to be celebrating from so far apart from each other, but, you know,
Well,
that's
and
all
you
right.
knew that was going to happen. You knew that it was going to be out there while he was, I don't wanna say incarcerated, but he's
Yeah.
in this thing. He's in
Mhm.
this pod. Tell me again what you guys call it. It's not a pod, it's something
A
else.
habitat is what we yeah.
Habitat, yeah.
Mhm.
You've told me that before, and for some reason, it
It's like
just
a zoo animal.
it doesn't
Habitat.
stick. But I knew that was going to happen, and I was so excited that he and his crew were going to be able
Mhm.
to watch it as part of what he brought into the habitat. So that's exciting news. I'm glad
Yeah.
they enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really fun. They had a red carpet in there. They
Oh.
did the whole premiere. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah.
Do you have pictures?
I do. I
Oh,
do have
good.
pictures.
Send me some.
Yeah.
I wanna
Okay.
see those. So, Margo, what daily rituals or tools have helped you stay emotionally connected to him despite the
Yeah.
communication delays and the isolation? Because,
Mhm.
like you say, they have these white spaces, and he's much busier than you had anticipated. So, are there times, I guess, when you just go, "I really need to talk with him. I need to talk with him now." How do you deal with that?
Yeah, something I've realized through this is you can't do just kind of big check-ins, and I've realized that, especially with my sister also moving, abroad, you realize how much the day-to-day little things like, so much can happen in a week,
Mhm.
and so, like, keeping up so journaling has been helpful in, like, a way that's not for me. I kinda journal to him, and I won't send it every day, but I'll just have, like, an open, Google Doc, and so I'll just write things that pop into my mind, something that maybe you'd shout into the kitchen if they were there, those kind of things, that aren't super time sensitive, but if you miss them, you really do kinda miss the meat and potatoes of life. Um, so that has been very helpful, to keep in touch more about, like, the little stuff. Like, obviously, we're talking throughout the day about, what we're doing that day, stuff that needs to get done business-wise, those kind of things, but the little things that really do matter. Um, you know, Also, preparation was huge. There have definitely been a couple moments, especially because we are business owners and with tax season, where there's like, a business filing that needs to be done. And that was something that he did every year, not me. And so then I see it pop up on the calendar. And, there's been moments where I've been like, "Oh my gosh, what is this?" And I'm, like, sending it to him, what do I do with this?" And then it turns out he's made, like, a little how-to guide that even has, like, screenshots and pictures of where to click on the website and what info to fill in. So,
He
anytime I
gave you a
can
standard operating
yeah,
procedure. Oh,
which is
good for
just
him.
says a lot about him and the person that Matt is, but that so, like, any little freakouts I have had, he has really had my back through preparation, and he does prioritize getting me that kind of information quickly, like, if he'll be like, "No, I'm not responding to anything else, but let me get you this information that you need," which I also really appreciate that he has done a really good job making me not feel alone, especially when it comes to, like, the scary business stuff, which was the thing I was most freaked out about. So, between his preparation and his ability to be like, "No, even though I've got a lot going on, I'll sit down and I'll look at this and I'll get you the information that's gonna make you feel better and not have so much anxiety," has been really amazing that he's done that. Although I will say coming up on Saturday, so I think 3 days from now, maybe 2 days, we are going into the solar conjunction, which is something that would actually happen, if there are people on Mars, which is where Mars is on the other side of the sun than the Earth for 2 weeks, and there will be no communications, and that is even the same with NASA. When
Oh,
Mars is on the other side of the sun, there is no way for us to communicate with the people on it.
I
Um,
did not know that.
yes,
And you're
just really.
calling it the solar conjunction?
Yep.
I'm going to have to go look that up. Okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
So this is a real thing, and so they're of course, they're simulating it because they are simulating as much as possible, and so we are entering that, I guess it's actually tomorrow, I'm realizing it. So at
Tomorrow's
least
Saturday. Yeah,
yeah,
today's Friday.
yep, so I think at midnight, so I'm getting all of my last minute emails out, and unfortunately, his birthday is during that time, so he won't get any live communication on his birthday. Maybe that'll be a positive thing for him because he doesn't have to hear from NASA either, but I'm trying to get out emails to him for his birthday being like, "Don't open till, this day," and just trying to get everything ready, and then, I will not hear "boo" for 2 weeks. Um so that I will see how that goes. Thankfully, tax season is done, and hopefully the 2 weeks will fly by, but that will be interesting. And that's why they are, in fact, simulating it so that they can see what could go wrong, what could issues be, things like that. So that is a
And
little
emotional
sad.
endurance. I mean,
Yeah,
you've got that on both sides.
yeah,
How do you
absolutely.
do and I wanted to ask you too, and that leads me to my next question is, has watching him prepare for and live this Mars simulation changed your view of human endurance and teamwork?
Yeah, I think I've certainly learned how much, like, interpersonal like, these astronauts and the astronauts on the space station, the Artemis crew that just went up, you're spending a lot of time in close quarters with people that you maybe didn't necessarily choose, and so, the just having to be so professional and so emotionally intelligent and really be able to work through those problems to not let them get bigger because it's such a high stress situation on top of the isolation and all of that. Um, so, you know, I've realized how, how professional everyone that does these things must be for everyone's, good and just really being self-aware. You wouldn't think that that would be maybe as important. You think that they have to be smart and hardworking, but very self-aware, very socially apt. Those things are more important than I would have previously imagined when it comes to this kind of science. And I can't
Huh.
imagine when you're actually on the planet and it's just the
No.
4 of you.
And, if you I don't know about you, I tend to pause a lot because I will get around people, on the phone or a client or a potential client, and I may not really like them. If I
Mhm.
don't really like them, I don't deal with them. I just say, "No, thank you," and I keep on moving, but every once in a while, that doesn't really show up until it's too late,
Yeah,
and then I'm stuck, and I have to catch myself being, as you said, very self-aware instead of saying the first thing that's on my mind because I don't wanna get clobbered, emotionally or,
yeah,
you know, online. I mean, I just don't, but that takes intense preparation to learn that pause.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, be
absolutely.
careful, change your mind, don't blurt it out, listen there's so many different things.
Yeah, try and have
It's
some
not
empathy for the other person's
Yeah, it's
perspective,
not
and
natural to most of us, I don't think.
yeah, yeah, I mean, even if you don't like somebody at work, you get to go home at night. You get to kind of, like,
Yeah.
complain to your partner or your friends and, like and you get that break, but you really don't get that break, in kind of space environments. They have their own little room. It's about the size of a closet, but they each have their little closet room, but like, then when they tell you to go out and do that task together, you've gotta work together. They do these, spacewalks, these, EVAs, extravehicular activities, and, so 1 or 2 crew members will be going out in the suits, and then you've got 1 or 2 crew members doing the internal, the IV, where they're sitting there on comms and telling you, how to they're really these are high stress, they're trying to get these jobs done, they've got a list of tasks that need to be completed, and often they'll have a list of, like, "If you have extra time, let's do this," and, these are all very high achieving people, of course, And so they wanna not just get the task done, they wanna get all the extras done as well, and they all are very motivated that way, but if you've just had a tiff with that person that's now doing your IV, like, I you really gotta be cognizant that you're in it. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Right.
So even if you just wanna give it to somebody, not that I'm not giving any real life examples, but you do just have to be so cognizant of that and keeping that relationship for the year, trying to preserve that. Like, that is a big important piece that I just, wasn't expecting so much.
I
Yeah.
I think he had mentioned that they had quite a bit of work on psychology
Mhm.
because of exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen. Like, if you put me in a closet with somebody, one of us wouldn't be coming out. I'm telling you, it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But I was listening to him and listening to you go, and my stomach is kind of clenching as, "Oh my god." That has to be, in my opinion, just because I am an introvert and I know how my brain works, that would be the most important thing that I would have to learn,
Yeah.
how to deal.
It's definitely one of those things where I go, "Oh, I see why a person like me isn't in there when he's selected." Because I like to be honest and maybe be like, "Well, it doesn't matter if it hurts your feelings. This is the facts." But maybe under certain circumstances, that
May not
wouldn't
wanna
be
say
the
that.
most advantageous line
Right,
to draw.
right. I couldn't
Um,
do it. Honest to God, I couldn't do it. I mean, there's a note on my front door that says, "If you weren't invited or expected, don't knock or ring." I'm serious about it.
yeah,
But it does take a certain kind of mind and a certain kind of, I think, education,
yeah,
and just basically people who are saying, "This is the job, this is my mission, I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to be the absolute best
yeah.
that I can be," and I think all astronauts have that in common.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta let that ego go. That's
Right.
definitely a big piece. You go, there's something happening here that's bigger than me and my ego and, like, me being right, even if, I am right. This is bigger than that, and so what's best for the mission? And maybe what's best for the mission is to just go, "You're okay. Yep, that's fine." Like, you can be you're right in your mind, and I'll be right in mine, and we'll just keep it moving. So
We'll
it's
handshake on it. Doesn't mean a thing, but we're gonna handshake on it.
yeah, but you go, there's something bigger than this argument, and so we'll just keep it moving. Yeah, I mean, the family has been talking to psychologists too because they want to get our perspective because the
Mhm.
support is, important for the crew members as well. And they're the psychologists that deal with all the astronauts as well. And the CHAPEA crew got a big compliment, and they said that interpersonal issues are the biggest issues that, they end up dealing with, space travel, which I was not expecting to hear. Of course, everyone's very professional, but still, like, that is apparently the reoccurring we're just human, all of us, even
It
astronauts
would
are
have to
human.
be. I mean, if you
Yeah.
think about it, that would have to be the thing that they're paying the most attention to.
Yeah, and you would hope so, right? You want
I would, yeah.
the science to be all planned out. You want, the vehicles that they're using to not fail and not be the problem. So I do agree that you'd want it to be the humans, but it's just funny to actually hear it. And they were saying that they were really impressed with the lack of interpersonal issues that the CHAPEA crew was having, even compared to the astronauts. So
Really?
yeah, so I think that speaks volumes about the crew that they selected, that Matt
No
is a part
kidding.
of. Yeah, the fact that
Congratulations to them.
yeah, exactly. So, they're keeping it together surprisingly well, which I'm very happy for them because I don't want them coming out and pulling their hair out.
Or
And then
stabbing each
also
other with forks
yeah, we're really
on
little
the way out
sports.
the door. But you
Yeah.
said something important, Margot, and I think that because the families, the spouses, everybody has been prepared as best as they could, they're not out there throwing rocks inside the habitat. They're doing whatever
Mhm.
they can to emulate the calm and the professionalism of the astronauts,
Yeah.
would be
Yeah,
my
I mean, that
guess.
is true. I've tried to make an effort that when I'm frazzled or frustrated, not even necessarily with him, just trying to it's fine to vent and maybe I'll say this is a vent, but, like, you don't want to add another layer. I'm always trying to be cognizant of not letting Matt feel like he is missing something that he wishes I was he was there for me and that maybe I'm frustrated because that's not how I feel. I'm totally on board with this. He wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't, but, I'm just always trying to be cognizant to not add extra stress, to him as well, with still being honest and obviously staying connected because I don't wanna put up a fake facade, but, just, changing my tone when I'm very frustrated to be like, "Take a breath. Let's rewrite this to everyone's doing their best. Let me just rewrite this because written communication you think would be very straightforward, but a lot
No, no.
misinterpreted. And
Yeah,
so,
it's not.
yeah, so when we're having back and forth conversations and I'm like, "Ah, he's not getting what I'm saying," it's like, "Okay, that's fine. He's doing his best, you're doing your best, so let's take a deep breath and rewrite that sentence so that it doesn't sound as short and frustrated." Um, which hopefully, he probably doesn't know is happening, but hopefully it has been making an effect.
Oh, he's probably doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Do you guys ever, actually hear each other's voices at all?
Um, on special occasions, I will send videos, and I'll, like, compress them down really small, which I'm doing for, like, his birthday that we'll miss because of the solar conjunction. So I put together a couple little just, like, videos where and they have to be short because they have to be small, so nothing too crazy, but that's mostly what we've been doing. I do know that some people are more into the voice notes, some of the other crew members, so they will send because those are quite small too. Um, I think the problem with the voice notes is that then, each other has to start taking notes because you go through, like, even if it's like a 20-second voice note, you wanna, like, make sure you didn't miss anything so that you can reply to everything. Um, but not a lot. And I don't trying to think if I ever got a video. I don't think I've seen any videos of Matt because I don't think they I've s he'll be able to send pictures every once in a while, but I don't think they have the data to send videos. They do to the psychologist, but those are, like, very
Right.
specific prioritized, transfers that they make. Um, so he gets to hear a little bit from me. We don't wanna clog up the data because there is a bandwidth, limit. So there's only something so big you can send, and they send 1 file at a time. So if you go and send, like, the biggest file you can, it's gonna block up NASA's transmissions because they are all going through the same bandwidth. NASA is because that's how it would be on Mars, is using the same, transfer as the family and friends that email. So it is a team effort. All of this is a team effort. No one's one experience is happening in a vacuum. And so it's just having to be very cognizant of all the moving parts. And you don't want to mess something up because how embarrassing, you don't want to clog up. Because there has been some of those, thankfully not by me, but where somebody will really clog up the transmission and then they have to wait forever for guidance from NASA. So I don't wanna be that. So it's all very you gotta really have a touch for it and try and know as much information as you can, which, with NASA can be quite difficult to have all the information.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yes.
So, from your vantage point, what do you see as the toughest psychological or physical hurdles? We haven't talked about that yet. That the
Yeah.
CHAPEA crew is facing right now, and they're halfway through. Are you seeing any physical hurdles? Are they well? Are they strong? Are they having
Yeah.
muscle issues? What's going on?
They are I think there's it's very strenuous. They are always doing things. I know that th they're sore very often. They're trying to do a lot of ball rolling and, like, foam rolling, out on, like, the little foam tubes.
For the muscles?
Yeah, for the muscles.
Yeah.
They one of the hard parts has been getting the food number in, especially for the guys, specifically, because their calorie, requirements are so high that if you miss a meal, it's near impossible to catch up because you just get too full towards the end of the day, and you have to get these calories in. So that has been a shocking revelation is Matt hasn't been hungry since he went in, which he's like, think about that, like, just not being hungry for a year because
Okay, I'm going to volunteer
yeah,
as long as nobody
handful.
talks to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get to be left alone, and I get to
Right.
eat. Yeah, so that has been surprisingly hard, and, sometimes they have schedules where they need to fast because of a blood draw that they're doing themselves, by the way. They're drawing their own blood, which is crazy to me. So they have to fast, and then they're going right into this other, this workout, so you don't wanna eat a bunch, and so really having to navigate that, those calories intakes has been surprisingly, challenging, I would say, and, they didn't have as much downtime, like I said, as they even thought they would, like, it is very which I know they do that on the space station, and I believe it is part of the psychology, like, they're afraid that if they give you too much downtime, that could negatively impact your mental health, so they are trying to keep them busy, but I know that it they said it's a marathon, not a sprint,
Yeah, but
but
they need rest.
yeah, they
Everybody
do
needs
need rest, and
rest.
it feels like they're just doing a bunch of sprints back to back. But with the solar conjunction coming up, now that it's, like, right at the halfway point, they will be doing a lot less because they won't have access to mission control for that time, so they're
Oh,
staying
that's got to be
very
scary.
yeah, I would think so, so they're not gonna do any, like, EVAs. Obviously, they will have to continue to work out, but they're not going to be nothing too dangerous, nothing that it should be a bit of a break. They'll obviously keep up with the foods. They're just about to do another round of like, planting of new seeds, so he'll be able to keep himself busy with that.
Didn't
Um
he mention to me when I spoke with him, or maybe you did, the hydroponic? They're doing
Yep,
hydroponics? Okay, and I thought it
yes,
was tomatoes, I wasn't sure.
yeah, they are, and, not since he's the science officer, that's his, thing. He's been sending me photos, peppers, tomatoes, lettuce. I think they've got some new stuff coming in this next round, some kale. And when you're having prepackaged MRE dehydrated foods exclusively, a little crunch of some lettuce can go a long way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
fresh anything.
another funny thing, we sent in a care package beforehand, and, I had some things in there that he would pull out periodically. He doesn't just open the whole thing, and, something that I wish I had known beforehand is, that textures would be, so hard to come by, because I had crocheted a bunch of, little cotton, yarn, uh, book, bookmarks that had, like, Mars on the bottom and, like, some of the moons, and when they got them, they were like, "Oh, man, we've been feeling the same, like, everything's hard, everything's plastic, metal,"
Oh, yeah.
that they were like, "Wow, a new texture is actually surprisingly comforting and, like, something that's soft," and so if I could go back, I also would've put in some different I don't know, some, like, squishy just some texture things that you wouldn't really think about, but in there, it's all, concrete, metal, and plastic, and,
See, I wouldn't
so
have thought of that.
yep, same, and he, also took a shirt out that he hadn't worn yet, and it was, like, a while in, like, months and months in, and he pulled something out that he hadn't worn yet, and he realized and it smelled like the detergent on the outside because 'cause they've got special Mars detergent that they're testing, like, another thing that they're testing is some cleaning products to make sure that, like, everything has to be essentially recyclable if we go to Mars because we don't have big water treatment plants and all of that, so you can't have soap that can't also then be turned right around and drank, essentially.
Oh, ick. So
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean, not like it
yeah,
does
I
have to be
do.
treated, but, like,
Right,
like, you just
right.
can't be putting bleach into your precious water, essentially.
Exactly, got it. But
Yeah, and
still
so then
ick.
yeah, and so he pulls out a shirt, and he was like, "Whoa, I didn't realize how much, like, even just sensory in terms of smell, like, that has been cut out a lot, and, like, they haven't gotten many new smells," and so it's a lot of that novelty of the things that we just take for granted every day kind of being out in the world that they don't have. So that was also an interesting, data point I wasn't expecting.
And, going back to hydroponic, none of that smells like anything.
Yeah, they've got this, like,
Cucumber
Mars.
is not it's going to be green, it's gonna be white in the middle, but it's not gonna smell
Yeah.
like a cucumber.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very interesting how all of that works, and just that I'm worried when they come out, what's the sensory overload gonna be? Like, if we go to a
Yeah.
restaurant right away, 1, how is their immune system going to be because they haven't gotten a year's worth of little bugs here and there, interacting with the world, and then 2, like, j will it be too loud? Will it be too crowded? What would be the impacts of that? And a lot of these crew members, as you can imagine, are all introverted as well, so it's not like they liked being out and about to begin with. So, yeah, so I think it's just the beginning of a long journey. What Matt's realized is, he thought that him being selected and kind of starting to go into training, like, was a big push of it, and then he's like, "Oh, no, this is gonna be something that I'm talking about for the rest of my life," and, like,
Right.
interacting with this experience, it's just begun essentially, so, yeah, it's we knew it was big, but then when you get in it and you realize how many people this affects and, just kinda how big of a deal this will be and this, data will live on forever, essentially. This is like a true, study. There will be papers written on this. This information will be used for years by
Mhm.
all the future astronauts that are probably around long after all of us are gone.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. So very cool. A lot of very cool and exciting things he's doing. And so, what's a year in the scheme of things? You get 5 years out from this and it'll feel like, "Oh, wow, remember that thing that year?" It feels like a blip. So I'm sure as soon as he's out and back home, we'll feel like we didn't miss a beat. But yeah, for the time
Well,
being, I
you
miss
guys
him.
prepared for that though too. You knew
Yeah.
that there was going to be that kind of reintegration, like,
Yep.
not normal husband, wife, you're breathing, not that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting. And Margo, can you share a recent update on how Matthew is doing in the habitat? Uh,
Yeah.
Specifically, what milestones has the crew hit lately, and how has his mood and focus evolved? It sounds like,
Mhm.
he's doing a lot of growth in there.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. They do have quite a bit of time to read, which is nice because they have like blocked out times for that, both, research, like he's got blocked out times where he reads about geology because that's part of his focus now, or like he's been learning about map reading, which he is surprisingly, excited about now that he's learning some things about it. Because you go, "Oh, maps, yeah, we all know maps." No, apparently there's a lot to know about making and reading maps as something you would need to do if you're on a new planet. Um, so he has been doing a lot of self-reflection. Because what else are you gonna do, in all kind of even if you're just working out, like, there's a lot of time to think. And so some, like, realizations that he's coming to are all very, impressive. You need that downtime to really sit and absorb new information, have new experiences, and then kind of what new thoughts shake out of that. So he's really ready, to make some big changes in his life in the best possible way. Taking some ways of living from the habitat, and he like wants to bring that into our lives, which I'm more than happy with. Whether that's, they've got like a cleaning rotation for the habitat because, it's a communal space, and if you get behind on it, that's not a great that doesn't benefit anybody. So, there's things like that he wants to start doing when he's home. Um, he brought a bunch of inner work books in, and so he's been, like, reading about that and really reflecting, I'm sure being in close contact with people that were near strangers before you went in really makes you sit and think about what are the things that you do, like, the differences in people, because you just get to know these very diverse group of people really, really well. Um and it just makes you think about why you do the things that you do, why people are the way that they are, and how does that benefit you? How does it, hurt you? Things like that. So, He's been doing a lot of introspection, which I'm a little bit jealous of because it's hard when you're distracted by the outside world and there's always something going on and your phone dings. You don't really have the time to kinda sit and think on doing that long thinking on things, over the course of an entire year or more. Um, so I'm really excited, we'll both get to know each other again once he comes out because I've had my fair share already of new experiences since he's gone in, and he's been living something that not many people ever live. And I'm sure that will turn us into different people, so I'm excited to connect and kind of almost get to just know each other again. Um, it's something I'm actually genuinely looking forward to.
You had mentioned that the last time we spoke because and I think I asked you, you're going to be different people.
Yeah,
When this is over, you've been apart for a while and, you know, he's doing things that you'll never experience. You can only hear about it from his words and his notes, but you will be changed people. You already are.
yeah,
But you put in place, both of you, a way to make that work.
yeah,
So you're aware of it, and you're not just gonna go, "Hey, you wanna go to Taco Bell? Come on, let's go."
yeah.
You're probably going to be a lot more aware of what you're both thinking and doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to say that I haven't gotten more alone time and will continue, especially now that I'm back home and, not staying with my sister and family, I'll get some of my own alone time, which I'm not opposed
Right.
to as a fellow introvert.
I I have to be alone, it's critical for
Yep.
everybody around me, mostly
Mhm.
me. I wanted and let's go back to Floating Lava Studios because
Mhm.
we talked about your movie, which I love. Has his CHAPEA experience sparked any new story ideas or themes for your next projects?
Yes, he definitely has there's one thing to kind of just hear about what they're doing, and you can kind of imagine, but it's that little nitty-gritty details of things you wouldn't even think of when they're in there, that can really put a lot of life and realness into stories and, like, kind of have those moments and those plot points of stories that you just go, "Oh, man, of course," like, I wouldn't have ever thought that, but now that I hear it, it's so obvious, so it he is definitely taking in all of that and just really anything sci-fi that we wanna do or anything about isolation, there's just a whole new depth and breadth of, knowledge on what that would be like, what those characters would be feeling, what things they might be struggling with. And so I'm also very excited to kind of unpack all of that and get to see how we're really going to use all of that insight that is hard earned. You don't just get that by, sitting in your bed and kind of thinking about what it would be like. He's lived it. So I think that'll bring a real reality to any sci-fi stories that we want to tell. So I'm also very excited about that and what's gonna come from that. I had a mentor one time tell me that, if you wanna if you have the same experiences as everybody else, your stories are going to all be the same because you can only see what's already in your head. So his recommendation was go out and live and have such a unique combination of experiences that you have stories, you can come up with stories that only you can come up with because no one else has had this combination of unusual experiences. And so this is definitely one of those experiences for Matt that will be like, there's only gonna be 8 people by the end of this who have had this specific experience, and he's the only one that works in film and storytelling. Um, so, I'm excited about that and what new things we're gonna be able to come up with and the ideas that we're gonna be able to have because of just such a strange and unusual year that we're having.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. Look, I'm an introvert. Most people I know, believe it or not, are introverts or don't know they are, but we need time alone, and that's
Yeah.
how we think. We relax,
Mhm.
we try to shut our brain down, we read, we listen. We're talking to ourselves. I
Yeah,
talk to myself a lot. I
absolutely.
really
Same.
do. I talk to my cats a lot, but and
Mhm.
they do talk back, believe it or not. But, you know if you and I'm noticing on social media in particular that, introversion wasn't something that was really talked about until about the last 3 or 4 years, now everybody's talking about it.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering, how that will show up in some of the work you do.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I mean, you gotta stay on, what everyone's discussing, and we've got a lot of introvert stories now, so
I bet. I
yeah.
bet. Well, Margo, how is balancing his mission with promoting the spirit of Christmas station in the habitat influenced your approach to storytelling? Really, what I want to know is, are there any Mars meets Hollywood parallels?
Interesting. It is a bit from what Matt's been saying, it is kinda like they're making a little movie in there, even
Yeah,
though
that's what I
there
was thinking.
yeah, it's a project like a lot of especially the low budget indie films, which is what we do because 'cause we're not a big studio, they're filmed on location because building all of these sets is can be very expensive. So a lot of lower budget movies will go to the actual place and use what is there, like these real locations. They just feel real with a lot lower of a budget because it is real. Um, so, it does match fairly well where you've gotta do a lot of prep on the front end because once you get there, we filmed a film in, like, a small town, Chama, New Mexico, and once you get there, you can't just run, to, like, the big store. There is an Amazon that can get there overnight, so you gotta have what you need. So, it's like doing that kind of prep work to think of every possible scenario before you get there, then, getting there and putting your head down because when you make a movie, those are at least 12-hour days, 6 days a week. I'm specifically talking the little indie ones, and you just go, 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 for a month, 2 months, 3 months sometimes. Granted, this is a year, so he's essentially, like, in there, and they work pretty much 6 days a week, and even their 7th day often has, some sort of thing that they're supposed to do. Saturdays, their 6 days, like, a little bit lighter, but still very packed, and then, a lot of times they're prepping for Monday on Sunday night and getting any tasks, and of course, the eating never stops. Um, so he is it'll be interesting to see how he comes out because even though it's maybe not as stressful as the day-to-day life because there's not as many different stressors, um, he's been going and he will have been going pretty nonstop for a year at that point, almost like a movie. And the reason I like movies is it matches with my energy, the way I like to use it, where if I'm gonna do something, I like to just go hard for, like, a short-ish burst of time and then take the time off. So I work best cyclically like that. Um, he doesn't have that, right? He is gonna be going every week for a whole year, um, which is the hardest movie it's a movie I've never made.
And he's
So
going to have to try to get away from that a bit, isn't he? Just so he can relax?
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to not plan too much for the afterwards because he
Yeah,
doesn't
when
know
you get
exactly
home.
how he'll feel. He doesn't,
Right.
know what's gonna be, and I don't know what's gonna kinda be ready to go at that point. But yeah, I would say I want him to have some time to decompress, let his nervous system kind of reset to a different type of stress, like life
The
stress.
noises, like, as you
Yeah,
mentioned, the noises, the scents, the smells, the
yeah.
irritating people that are chewing in your ear.
Yep,
There's going to
exactly.
be things that has him just going, "Oh god," and other things he's like, "Oh, I'm so glad to be here." And
Mhm.
they're all going to happen simultaneously, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, even leading up to him going in and since I've been in the mission, we all joke that anytime we bring up CHAPEA, it's like a conversation black hole. Like, the second somebody brings it up, that's all we're about to be talking about for, like, some period of time because everyone's just like, "Wait, what?" Because 'Cause they've never heard of it, and it's just all very interesting. So I'm sure once he gets out, it's not like that conversation black hole isn't gonna end.
No.
People will still they might even be more interested now that he's actually done it, not that he's about to go do it. Um, so, he this will be something that I think will still continue to consume a lot of his life even after he's out, although I do want his nervous system to reset and remember life outside where it's like, yeah, maybe you don't have to get up and start eating right away and take your own blood, but, you know
Oh.
There's still its own
Wow.
life things, and, I'm sure people will come out of the woodwork to try and talk to him and, in the nicest way, but he'll probably be fielding, once he's back, everyone will be excited and they'll wanna catch up, so he'll probably go from talking to nobody to back-to-back lunch, dinners, catch-ups with everybody that he hasn't been able to talk to for a year. Um, so I'm happy to not be him.
Yeah. And I would suspect that the psychologists are going to be talking with all of you, your extended families, saying, "Listen, this is probably how it's going to work out. They need time. They need to decompress. They need to, as you mentioned, their nervous system needs to get back in order. Don't be offended if he doesn't respond immediately to, 'Hey, would you like to have coffee?'"
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I suspect there's going to be a lot of mini training going around these
Mhm.
families and friends about exactly that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If NASA doesn't, I will. That's
Yeah, there you
that's a really
go.
smart idea. I'll be his
Make a
person.
movie about it.
Yeah, for
Like,
real.
"Do this, don't do this."
Yeah.
So for we are running out of time. For listeners who are listening to this and they're inspired by space exploration stories, what advice would you give aspiring filmmakers or partners of extreme adventurers like Matthew? How can you help them?
Yeah, I would say something that a big takeaway of mine is to not have expectations. Just try and come in very open-minded, taking it as it comes, and not thinking about all the things that could go wrong. Just letting it be and letting it show you what it's going to be because we're this is so there's nothing humdrum about space exploration right now. Everything is new. We are doing things we've never done before, like sending people the furthest they've ever been from Earth. And to not have expectations, that's a big one. And just, stay informed. Learn about as many things as you can because you might want to learn a little bit about physics, learn about, something with Earth or Mars, like, in terms of a planetary thing, because all of these ideas, the more you learn about science and space and where we currently are, the more you can kinda make connections that maybe other people aren't, and, if you're on the filmmaking side, that is really gonna give you the ideas that differentiate your movie from somebody else's movie. So just be a forever learner, and if your partners are doing something like this, or maybe you wanna do something like this, having a diverse, because when we send people to, planets like the moon or Mars, out into space, you kinda have to be a jack of all trades. You can't just be one thing, because we need people that can we're not sending a lot of people, so you do really need to know a lot of different things, so don't follow one path, because I think following a specific path won't get you someplace like space. You need to really, to do forge your own path, because that will give you the experiences, the diversity of experiences to set you apart from all the other, really talented, amazing, smart people that we have in this world. It's just having your own specific combination of things based on what your interests are. Just really following your own interests, stay a forever learner, and I think, you'll end up in at least a new place that isn't all humdrum where everyone else ends up. That's the only way you do something different is by acting different.
I just wrote that down, forever learner. I love that.
Yeah.
Margo, thank you so much for joining us. And I want to ask you, you've got my email address, you've got my phone number. If there's anything that you think our audience needs to know, nothing that's, you cannot share. I mean,
Mhm.
things that you can share, email me, send me something and I'll
Okay.
put it out there for you.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
thank you for sharing this journey with us today. And it's truly inspiring to hear how creativity, partnership, and resilience intersect in such remarkable ways. And we wish you and Matthew all the best, excuse me, as the NASA CHAPEA mission progresses. And I'm excited for audiences to enjoy The Spirit of Christmas Station. I'm almost positive it's available on Amazon Prime.
Thank
If you've
you.
got the app on your TV, because that's how I found it. It just popped up and I went, ooh, I didn't tell you this part. I actually turned the air conditioner down and I got a blanket because it wasn't Christmas.
Yes.
And I said, okay, I turned the lights off and I lit candles and I made it Christmas in
You
my
gotta
living
set the
room.
scene.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you gotta get in
did.
the spirit. I love that.
I
Yeah,
did.
absolutely. And if anyone wants to follow along with the, future projects that we'll have coming out, our website is floatinglava.com, or on Instagram, we're at Floating Lava Studios.
Got it. Well, listen, everybody. Producer Margo McHugh returned to share how her partner, Matthew Montgomery's year-long NASA CHAPEA Mars simulation has shaped her life and her work at Floating Lava Studios. And amid a recent moon launch sparking space fever, she opens up about handling separation, creativity, creative, I can't say it, creative inspiration, there it is, and promoting her holiday rom-com, The Spirit of Christmas Station, during Thanksgiving of last year, blending Hollywood storytelling with real Mars mission challenges. This is a fascinating story. And as she just mentioned, you can connect with her on LinkedIn and her studio website, floatinglava.com. And you can find her, I believe, on Instagram as well. Is that right?
Yep. Yes, at, Floating Lava Studios. Yep.
Got it. Well, listen, if Margot's story of blending Hollywood creativity with Mars mission realities inspires you, subscribe to Your Partner in Success Radio or wherever you listen to your podcast, and share this episode with a fellow dreamer and anybody who loves NASA and space exploration, and leave a review to help us reach more listeners chasing extraordinary lives. And go find Margot. Margot, thank you so much, and do stay in touch.
Yes, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Your Partner in Success Radio is a free business podcast with host Denise Griffitts. It's all about great stories, conversation, and context to help you move your business and life forward with actionable tips and advice from her guest experts. To listen and subscribe, just find us on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you consume your podcasts.